America, in both politics and culture, has become a divided nation. Maybe it already was, but it certainly seems more divided. Now, we learned about the politics and about the red and blue states, certainly in the 2000 election, but we got a reminder about the cultural divide. That's thanks to a couple of stories here, whether it's Duck Dynasty or even Chick-Fil-A. You know the Duck Dynasty story. After Phil Robertson's homophobic comments, half the nation, it seemed, rushed to condemn him. The other half couldn't wait to defend him or criticize those who thought that he went too far. And it's not the only example. As I mentioned, remember that Chick-fil-A controversy? Head of the company, he attacked homosexuals and was also routinely criticized, I among them. But not everybody. A lot of people, even in our region, jammed into the restaurants in a show of support in the coming days, defending the company and going against its critics. You got examples, whether it be on your TV dial. You got MSNBC on one end of it, and you got Fox News on the other. But forget what they say, fair and balanced. We know what you get when you turn the channel on every day. And we've seen this play out in all sorts of policy issues, whether it be gun control here or even some of the language surrounding the discussion of the president. I ask you, Mr. Sussman, is this just because we live in a 24/7 media world where it's more pronounced, or does it seem that people almost draw up teams and sides on these things without any nuance, without any thought, without any seemingly discretion? Like, I don't know.
Here's the irony of it.
Divided.
Every presidential election, all we hear about is there's no real choice in America from half the people. The two parties are too closely aligned. They're too close. There's not a really radical left party. We don't have enough of a choice in America. We hear that every single election cycle. The election ends. And now we have this every single cycle, as you say, since 2000. The country is so polarized. There's no middle. There's no moderate Republicans. There's no consensus on any issue. That's what we get. And it's true. I'm up in Orange County. You can't have a more polarized county. Yeah. You got Newburgh on the one hand and what goes on there. You have Deer Park on the other hand and what goes on there. You got people saluting guns and the flag on the one hand. You have people screaming and yelling and anarchy on the other hand. It's right in our own county. It's right in our own region.
Why do you think it's become more polarized than it was before?
Because everybody has a voice or thinks they have a voice. There's no pedestal.
Yeah.
Everybody has an equal turn. Everybody can scream and yell. And how do we distinguage a voice?
I don't think that's the reason. I actually think the reason is the internet. And I think
that's the same thing. Everyone has a voice.
Is that
he agrees with you. Just didn't realize.
Yeah, he doesn't want to agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys finished?
Polarized on this
communication is easier. What's fascinating to me about the Duck Dynasty guys is they dress in ways that back in the 60s, the right wing would have been criticized. The beards, the long hair, the stuff. So exactly what's the theme that runs through it? Well, if there is a theme, the right is authoritarian and the left is anarchic. And those themes are going to tend to clash periodically.
But for me, what's different is, and everybody, and I'm not, it wasn't really about religion as much as some of the defenders. I didn't really think that was when somebody was intolerant, I don't know, maybe it's my imagination, but you didn't used to find as many people who'd rush to defend it. And I know the polls are all saying we are becoming far more tolerant on issues, for example, of gay marriage. And you see this on a state-by-state level, Utah, for crying out loud, right? However, just like so many people are proud to proclaim that they don't know anything about anything but will still have an opinion, there seemed to be a pride and a race to be able to say, I'm with this guy. Yeah, I know he may have offended and been really crude, not just to homosexuals, to blacks, etc.
Politics has always been that way.
But this isn't about politics. It's about culture.
Go back to John Adams and Jefferson. Go back.
But this wasn't elected officials. This was about an issue playing out on TV in the public, like racing to pick a side.
There's going to be this all the time, especially when there's a demographic shift and people feel they're losing power. There is no doubt that plays into it as well. But there's something healthy about this kind of split. Let it be all argued out. Let people take positions.
But my only point is we don't argue it out. People make up their mind before we even have a discussion. And that's where I think this is a little bit different.
Dominic?
I don't see anything healthy with the other part of what he said. Oh, I didn't know anybody that was any blacks that was upset.
You were happy.
I mean, yeah,
right?
I mean, you know, we were all happy. We were all
I
happy.
didn't say
I mean,
that was healthy. I said the debate was healthy.
Right, I heard
But
you.
my point,
but
Richard,
I
is
don't think that
debate's
type
great,
of
but
debate
we're not having
is
a
healthy.
debate.
It's very
I
healthy.
don't even see what America sees in that clown. To be honest with you. I don't see anything.
It's
I
good
don't
to
see
get
anybody.
it out.
I don't see why anybody in their right mind would watch a TV show
Let me
with
ask you
somebody
something.
that looks like
Our
that.
audience
I
right
don't
now
see
is
it.
watching
looks
us.
like that?
Time
That
out,
looks
time
like
out.
that.
Our audience is watching us in the tri-state area. These two
Whoa.
guys, I know you don't tend to go to Big Sky. Although you did go to Idaho not long ago. When you were in the really red part of Texas, not there's too many blue parts here, I guess Austin, and you were out in Big Sky country, you go to Montana a lot. Would people around these neck of the woods be a little surprised by the America they don't see too often, whether it be on TV or around the tri-state area?
I don't think they'd be surprised. I think the people out there, by the way, tend to be very accepting, even in ways that back here we're not. Let's go back to whether this is healthy or not. When you have this sort of division, the best thing that can happen to resolve it is for it to be talked about, felt, confronted, looked at.
Agreed, but that's not happening.
There's no resolution.
No.
The idea that there's a synthesis is ridiculous.
But we're having
It's
an
just
open
not.
conversation.
Look, this has been
I'm
going
not
on.
sure.
It's been going. Look, the polarization, the distrust, even the hatred, which is reflected, is not resolving itself. I don't think we can say fairly it's resolving itself. There's no evidence it's resolving itself. It's just not. You're right.
You're flat wrong.
No,
Look at the way
where?
the country's moved on gay marriage.
I agree.
It's
I agree.
resolving itself.
That's not a resolution, though, because you have so many people. You're saying a resolution as a lawmaker. You're
No.
right. You're right. But
The
it's not resolving
the
itself.
social customs of the country are changing.
But
That's
you
a good
see
thing.
you see the backlash against those social customs, which are extreme,
Yeah.
and which are violent often. And I mean that's
You're
what you're
mentioning
talking
Orange
about.
County. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, it's acceptable to put swastikas and stuff like that on certain things in 2013
I think
in
that
our
also
area.
speaks to what you were talking about before about geography. And there used to be, you talk about intolerance in this country. There was a period not that long ago when the entire section of the country was intolerant about one race of people. So it just had been more geographically bound, I think, in the past. Now, you asked about Montana, you asked about Texas. I know plenty of liberal people in Montana. I know plenty of liberal people in Texas. They're right next door to 17 other people who are incredibly conservative in those areas. That's the difference. The divisions are on Main Street nowadays. It's not a red state and a blue state. It's a red house and a blue house. It's a red street and a blue street. And that's what I think is different, is that it's on top of each other. It's not bound the way we used to think of these things.
I
But
just
Richard,
don't
you're
think
not
we don't
talking-
have this platform that he says we do, that we talk about things. I think that it's okay now when it didn't used to be, that if you felt something that was intolerant, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion in this country, that's what's great about it. You now take pride because you'll find somebody online that'll agree with you, and you form your little group, and you don't have to talk to somebody else,
America
and you can
has
proudly.
always been an open system of closed enclaves. It's
true.
And
true.
there's nothing new about it. We've survived that. We'll survive Duck Dynasty.
But it's never been good. It's never been a good thing.
Yeah. When we come back here, we switch gears. When cops shoot and kill people they're supposed to protect and serve, should other cops investigate them? Well, our guest says no here and says that maybe we need to change the law. The attorney at the center of both issues here tonight says where we ought to go from here. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Airman First Class Kevin Britton, and I'm stationed at the Transit Center in Manassas, where I'm a firefighter. I'd like to give a holiday shout out to my family and friends back in Lindenhurst, New York, especially my fiance Taylor. I love you. Merry Christmas, everyone.